celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, a chance of snow with a low of 11. Then Wednesday, a better chance of afternoon snow with a high of 23. Are you looking for a colorful, high-energy indoor experience for your kids this winter? Go Dog Go! Vay Pero Vay opens this week at Children's Theater Company. Get tickets today for this joyful bilingual musical where delightful dogs thrive, swim, play baseball, and race to the big dog party. That's childrenstheater.org.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we have our friend Dr. Stately. He's the CEO and president of Native American Community Clinic. And then later on, we have Arvina Martin, who's our friend and political analyst out of Wisconsin. And I just want to give everyone a quick heads up tomorrow at Native Roots Radio presents Minneapolis AIR in our partnership with the city of Minneapolis. We'll have Mayor Fry on tomorrow, so stay tuned to that. But we have our own mayor, Dr. Stately, and welcome, Dr. Stately. Good to see you as always.
Thank you. It's good to see you as well. I just survived the frigid weekend.
Well, I was in New York, and the interesting part about that is that I was able to help a relative of mine get on the plane heading to Mexico without ICE detaining them for too long. ICE is all over the airport. They're undercover. They're not wearing their little uniforms, but he made it on the plane. He's in Mexico, and he's a few days away from becoming a citizen of the United States. And I'm glad I could be there to run interference for him. And then I went to New York, where it was windy and cold like it was here, and now I'm back.
Oh, wow. So you get a little, what do you call it? What do they call that? Oh, a priming. Prime the pumps for the cold weather. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, how are you holding up, and how's your family holding up? And how's the Native American Community Clinic on the Native Corridor right down the street from the powwow grounds, which is ground zero for our relatives?
Right. Ground zero. Powwow ground zero. I think we're doing okay. Like my sons and their friends went to the mall the other evening. I think it was last night. Yeah, went to the mall for an hour or so. I was anxious for them to be going without me, right? And got in an argument with one of them, like, make sure you bring your birth certificate with you. It's like, it's in my backpack. I'm like, well, if they rip the backpack off your back, or, like put it in your pocket so you can pull it out when you need to. Anyway, it's just constant reminders to them about, like, the realities of the day, of the times. So it's anxiety producing in some ways, but they're 18. I can't really, I can tell them what to do, but they don't have to listen to me. And they often don't.
They'll start listening at the round of the age of 30. That's when I started listening to my parents.
Yeah, I think it'll, I don't know. It could possibly be the end of me. 12 years. I don't know if I can go 12 years without them listening to me. But, we'll see. Maybe I'll just have to whisper. And they'll be like, what did you say? I'm like, oh, yeah, pay
Right.
attention. But
that was my teaching technique, was whispering to the kids, especially when they were loud. I don't know where I picked that up, but they'd lean in and what is he saying?
yeah, that's smart. Yeah. So they, I think they're doing okay. We we have these conversations, and I, like, last week was hard for me, for, to be at work, and I think I mentioned this to you. So my son was working on a construction project, on our building. And then I think a week ago Friday, so it's, this is like 10 days ago, there was a lot of ice activity right here on Franklin Avenue. It was kind of that Friday was the kind of day that they snatched up quite a few people that Friday and that weekend. And I think it was anxiety producing for him to go back to the construction site after lunch. And, I didn't, we talked about it over the weekend. I didn't pressure him to go back. I didn't, talk to him about ways he could make sure that he was safe and that he would feel okay. And, but he just was like, I'm not going to go back to her. So he's going to do something different, I guess. I don't know. Wants to be a social influencer and a rap artist like his cousin Ruben. And generally just, I don't know. I was like, well, I'll be a social influencer. And I was like, well, I think you have to maybe create content to be a social influencer. I don't know, just
just a thought.
Just a thought. So, like, you might want to work on that a little bit. But so I've been talking to him over the weekend about, like, how, so when I talk them off the ledge about wanting to protest, or they're teenagers. I remember being their age, like wanting to do things like throw bottles at people and rocks, and when I was pissed off, I came of age during the during the Reagan administration, which was, remember Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, and then, like, just all that chaos they were creating too. And so, like, I remember being that age and wanting to just throw shit and be just just be destructive and be mad and be angry. And I remember that. It's, runs deep. So I can't be like, scolding them and telling them all the reasons not to do that. But I say, like, you got to be thoughtful. You got to use your head.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and I also talked to him a little bit about, like, how I think, what it means in 2026 to be a warrior and to be is different than it meant in 1970 or 80. And it's just, the tactics are different and the strategy is different, and we have more tools that we can use. So, it's just kind of ongoing discussions with them, and, tough conversations, like, and they're like, well, we're gonna be okay. We're not afraid. We're not. And I was like, okay, well, I get that you're not afraid, but I'm your father. I'm your dad. And, I can't imagine a life with you not being here. So, like, it scares me, like that, that tendency to want to sort of kind of go out and, like, throw yourself in harm's way, which is, so I just, I'm just doing as much as I can. I'm smudging and praying a lot, and I didn't sleep a whole lot the other night, but I'm kind of doing okay. So that's me and my family, and my relatives from far away. They're texting me all the time. My grandma and or their grandma, my mom, my adopted mom, and my adopted family in Oklahoma. Like, you forgot to text us today and tell us you're okay. Don't do that. So I mean, it's just a lot to carry. Like carry my own anxiety and manage other people's anxieties. It's a lot of. And then I got this clinic I'm responsible for, and the folks in our community. And we made a decision on Friday. We were humming and trying to talk through, where we're at as an organization with this protest, the closing down of things on Friday the 23rd. And we talked it through, and we decided, this is, so we decided to close on the 23rd. We won't be open. Staff will be able to use that day for, some self-care. They'll be able to participate in some of the protesting if they want to, or, maybe go volunteer for, at this warming shelter, stuff like that. So just in alignment with our community, that's what we're here for. We're here to support them.
Absolutely. Hey, we are here with Dr. Stately, and we're talking about what's happening down on the Avenue and what's happening with his family and what's happening in Minneapolis. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations in Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We are here with Dr. Stately. I just want to remind everyone tomorrow at Minneapolis AIR, which broadcasts live at 5 o'clock here in the Twin Cities on AM 950 and all the social media that we're on connected to. And we're going to have Mayor Fry on. And then right after that show, we are going to be broadcasting again in the Twin Cities. Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, and that's a show about recovery in our Native community. And everyone stay tuned. We got 2 hours of Native Roots Radio special events tomorrow. But hey, we are here with our special friend, Dr. Stately. And Dr. Stately, you know, you've been on a long time. We've seen your kids grow up. We've seen COVID. We've seen all these things since you've been on the air. And I was thinking back to COVID, the way things are going here with St. Paul's School closing, or not closing, but going to online. And And that was really hard on the kids and the teachers the first time around. And our thoughts and prayers are out there with our communities.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was hard the first time around. Kind of feel like we're maybe in a different situation here where like maybe hopefully it won't be as long as the COVID situation. But also we learned a thing or two through that process. And we know we're 6 years or 5 years post COVID. So we have some, I think lessons we learned in that process about how to maybe do this differently. So that will be hopefully helpful. I think the biggest concern is just like for me is, and I'm grateful that I don't have, I'm grateful that I don't have children in school right now. I think that would be anxiety producing for me, even more so. My kids graduated last year, so I don't have to worry about that. But also, I kind of, I feel a little bit guilty that I live a little bit in a bubble. Like, I mean, Prior Lake is, we have immigrants in our community. We have quite a bit of actually a number of East African and Somali people living in Prior Lake and also in Shakopee area and Mexican and other Latin American countries as well. There's quite a few living in that area. Burnsville's right next door, and there was a raid at my favorite Mercado actually in Savage on Highway 13, which is where I go buy my stuff when I need it. So like it's close, but it's not in my face like it is here when I'm at work. But having that experience, having them raid that store, knowing that they've shown up in a couple of other places, they've made it clear that they have federal authority to walk into any place that they want to, that they, I know tribal members, I'm friends with some tribal members at Shakopee, and they're fairly anxious, I think, also about, federal intervention there. And so those things are like, like my little bubble is starting to burst a little bit too, so I'm like anxious, right? And trying to be careful. Like I think it was Friday or Saturday. I think actually it was Saturday. I got a text message from one of my relatives, my sister, and she's good friends with some folks at the tribe, very close relationships. And one of her friends had texted her that that their tribal communications folks had said, ICE was blocking the on-ramps and off-ramps by Canterbury, and encouraging people not to go out if they didn't have to, right? And so, I was going to go to the grocery store that day, and they decided not to. And I was like, well, we'll find something, to make. And it's just the disruption. I think the disruptions are hard. And then so everyday things that you normally sort of like just take for granted, that you would just be able to move around, move about, go to school, go to work, go to the grocery store, these things that you normally just, expect that they'd be fine, become like, challenges that you have to decide, like, is the risk worth going and doing? Is it, and then do I have the
Oops. I don't know. Oh, I think you got muted there for a second. We got all excited there. You look.
Oh,
you're back now.
I think my thing actually.
Oh,
yeah.
You just dropped the mic. Now you have a deep voice.
Yeah. Here, this is my mic drop.
Yeah.
It's my, I think my AirPods.
I'm sure the studio liked that mic drop. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's the big challenge, is that just, the whole thing is like chaotic and disruptive, and it's disrupting people's lives, and not just disrupting them, they're making like them fearful to just move about, right? It's like, it's just, and quite frankly, he's getting and he's achieving what he wants. He wants people to be afraid. He wants, and so I talk to my kids about like, okay, we won't be afraid to do things, but it doesn't mean we have to sort of just move around like we don't have to pay attention to things. That's also not wise, right? So trying to get them to understand this, and we have these conversations in the clinic as well about like how we'll manage things. We haven't had any ICE intervention yet inside the clinic. We put up the signs that people tell us this is private. You have to have appointment to come inside, those kinds of things. We've done all the things that people have advised us to do. I think it's beneficial that we have a big, huge building in front of our clinic that nobody can actually see where our clinic is. And so that's a little bit of a blessing there. So, but still, it's anxiety producing to see them about. And we've had a few of our folks kind of have to interact with them on the avenue.
Too, one of the things I think you alluded to too with your sons, but also with your workers, is that we're at a point again where we really need people, our relatives, our family, and our friends to know where we're going and when we're going.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think it's like, this is, I think we live in a time where it's important that our relatives know where we're going anyway. I mean, MMIW and missing and murdering indigenous relatives is a thing, has been the thing for a really long time. So I've been telling one of my biggest arguments with my son is like why he won't turn back on his location on his phone. And I'm like, and I'm getting like spicy and saucy about it. I'm like, well, I could just shut the entire thing off and you don't have to talk to anybody. It's like, it's like, actually, I get it. It's you get to use the phone, but I'm actually paying for it. I'm paying for the service and I pay for the phone. If I either do it or I'll shut it off and you won't be able to use it at all. But the point being is like, it's just a really bad time for it to be happening and I'm not the only parent involved that has this experience, right? So I can't be all like, traumatic about it or dramatic about it. Like, when I hear other parents and like, I mean, I don't know. I think, I used to have a friend that would say this to me, like, back when I lived in LA, like, you're such a drama queen. Get off the cross. Somebody needs the wood. And I was like, oh, shut up.
I've never heard that one. That's a good one.
Like, it's true, actually, but but right now we're talking about my pain. So, right. So it's disruptive, and I think one of the things, we had a conversation in our leadership meeting today about like closing on Friday, like what are we going to do, and the care we have to take, to the communication that we have to our staff. We can't tell them to be involved in political rallies and those kinds of things. So I was like, well, this is a day for you to be with your family. If your children are afraid to go to school, it's another day you can be with them. Like if you yourself have like things you haven't been able to take care of because you have been anxious, I tell everybody to travel in twos, pairs of twos, at least minimum, like so people know what happens to you where you're at. It's crazy that we have to live this way at this moment in time. But I also tell my sons, I tell everybody that will listen to me, is like not to be so afraid that you're afraid to use your voice. The most powerful thing you have is your voice. And speak up, speak the truth, tell the truth, say what you're experiencing and what you're witnessing. It's really important that we still do that because what he wants to do is make us afraid, make us fearful, make us silent, make us not be resistant, right? Because what we're seeing currently right now is some 1940s Gestapo shit. That's what we're seeing. People silent.
Dr. Stately, this is not NPR. You can't swear.
I can't. Stuff.
Yeah, stuff. We'll edit that in. Say stuff again.
Gestapo stuff.
Yes.
But it's like, I mean, I think what's dysregulating about it is like, everybody assumes that, I mean, we take for granted a lot of our freedoms, and we forget that freedoms have to be fought for, freedoms have to be tended to, right? These things that we've taken for granted for so long are things that we have to earn, and we have to protect, and we have to defend, and we have to do it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, definitely.
This is where the reality where we're at.
Dr. Staley, I know you're a busy person, and thank you so much, as always, for stopping in, and safe travels home tonight.
Thank you, you too. Welcome back to Homeland.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon. I'll buy you breakfast this week. Oh,
take care. Be safe, everyone. Bye.
Up next, Arvina Martin. This is Native Roots Radio. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Pretty much everybody I talk to is ready to leave 2025 behind, so what better way to do that than quite literally have Zero Res come over and clean that 2025 dirt out of the house. Pretty much any surface in your home can be Zero Resified, from carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, and so much more. Zero Res can take care of it all, so it's time to call the cleaning pros. Start your freshest year yet in 2026 with Zero Res's biggest sale ever in celebration of the new year, and wash 2025 right out of your home with this deal. This month you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and a free hallway, plus 15% off regularly priced services like air ducts, upholstery, area rugs, tile, hardwood, and more. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, a chance of snow with a low of 11. Then Wednesday, a better chance of afternoon snow with a high of 23. For 45 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been the go-to spot in the Twin Cities for the best Chinese favorites like sesame chicken, pan-fried dumplings, and Peking duck. The Great Wall is located on France Avenue along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, a few blocks north of 50th Street. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Native Roots Radio, and just a reminder, tomorrow at Minneapolis Air, presented by Native Roots Radio, we're going to be having Mayor Fry on the whole show, and then also right after that, we're going to have Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, and that's with our relative Hunter Thundercloud and his group down there in Arizona. So really excited to listen to those guys and be a part of that and the whole thing. So we have our friend Arvina Martin on, and Arvina, great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on as always. Always love hearing your take on things. And I just got back from New York, and it was a little crazy because my trip on Thursday, Arvina, I was helping a relative, my godchildren's father, get on a plane, and ICE was trying to intercept him, and he was going to Mexico to get his final paper signed to become a citizen. And it was like we're in the 10th frame here right now, and he got through, and I think it helped that I was there, and they didn't detain him. So I feel pretty blessed and great to be back.
Yes, I am also happy to hear that he was able to travel without incident. This is a scary time, and I'm glad that you were able to be there to help him get through this. And I had my fingers crossed for him, as well as other folks that are trying to navigate this system the best they can, and especially an immigration system that says that they want to, just only pick up the worst of the worst criminals, and they end up picking up people that are doing things the right way and going to their immigration meetings and their green card meetings, and still get picked up and deported. So this is a scary time. Thank you for being there for him.
Yeah, and we were reaching out and talking about different ways of doing it. I'm glad it all worked out. And again, coming back today from New York, it was pretty interesting because they're undercover now. They're not wearing their ICE uniforms at the airport. So again, another hurdle. We had just had Dr. Stately on, and we were just talking about how kind of stressful and the gray clouds over our head, but we also have to resist.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about this and everything that's happening right now through the lens of the fact that yesterday was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and a day that we think about civil rights, injustices faced by people because of their differences, whether they are surface or beliefs or any of that, and particularly for our Black and brown families, and thinking about that legacy and things that folks had to give up, or things that they had to fight against, and things that they faced during the civil rights movement that that hasn't happened as much in my lifetime. It's scary, and in a lot of ways very, very unprecedented, but in other ways it's just the same playbook again, but just further down, maybe a later chapter in that book. But lots of people were arrested, injured, or killed during that civil rights movement, and unfortunately we are kind of back at that situation, where protecting your own constitutional rights is somehow seen as bad by this particular segment of law enforcement, which I am putting in air quotes, because they seem to be doing other things than enforcing a law, but are still law enforcement in name, and trying to figure out what what actions that you personally feel comfortable taking, steps that you feel comfortable in taking in protecting yourself if you are in that situation, or protecting, your neighbors, your relatives, your friends, somebody that you see being accosted on the street and being taken. What are you going to do? And thinking like we as Americans, folks, and we as Native people, even though we shouldn't have to be worried about immigration, we still have to. And we all need to think about what taking a stand is going to look like, and what ramifications it could have on us. And being ready to make those sacrifices if need be.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a hard one because we were just talking too, is that one part of the equation is that really need to know more so than ever. I mean, we have MMIR for sure, and so that's been really in the forefront the last 10 years, but more so than ever, where our relatives are going, and hopefully going with more than just one person, no matter where it is now.
And maybe you need to share your location on your phone with friends and family. Letting people know, I'm planning on going out, and depending on what's happening in your area, maybe every time you leave the house, you have to say, hey, everybody, I'm going to the grocery store. I will be back in 1 hour if you haven't heard from me. I mean, it's terrifying that we have to think in these ways, but the preparation on the front end can be really helpful in determining the outcome of a situation, whether that is being arrested and being released within hours versus within days, or being sent somewhere, or anything like that. Because we don't know what is going to happen to folks that are detained. We don't know where they're being sent. And if immigration is taking Native people, where are they sending them after being
Mhm.
detained? Where are they sending us when we are being detained? I've seen a lot of conversation on like Facebook of people coming up with family plans that they are,
Mm.
saying, I mean, and even grown adult children, saying to my parents, like, so for me, I have cats. If something happens to me, somebody needs to go take care of and feed my cats, and make
Mm.
sure that they're taken care of. And I also have a daughter, but I know that my family would be like ready to go to protect her. They might not think about my pets. And
Yeah.
and whether like maybe we have to be worried about if you're taken in the winter, do you have to have someone that comes and checks on your your home, to make sure water pipes don't freeze, paying your rent so you don't get evicted. So I really do encourage everybody to like Google family plans for this situation, and see and let people know, you know, what needs to be taken care of in your everyday life should you be abducted.
Yeah. Wow, really good points. I know what's interesting, the show was started because of Standing Rock, and we were out at Standing Rock, and they were building it was during Thanksgiving week, and they were building a bridge to go across Turtle Hill, where all the agents were there for the army, basically, for Dakota Access Pipeline. And we were watching it from a distance, and then we wanted to get closer to see, because we had our 2 dogs with us, and we didn't wanna get arrested, and next thing you know, we were crossing the bridge. So you can get caught up in
Yeah,
this.
especially in these moments that are to us unprecedented. I can't imagine any of us as native people have ever considered what we are going to do if we encounter immigration. I've never ever thought of that. And even when it seemed like it could happen, to have it actually happen is a completely different ballgame. And I know that there's a lot of people that are trying to figure out what the best way to proceed in those. Is it best to, actively fight to say, no, I'm not going to share my ID. I am not going to give you my ID. I'm not, going to open my door for you. You do not have a signed judicial warrant. I'm not giving permission. And knowing that they're probably going to break the door down anyways. Or do you say, yep, here's my ID. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Ho-Chunk Nation, a federally recognized tribe, and a citizen of the United States. You can call the Ho-Chunk Nation at this number to verify, knowing that they're still going to probably break your door down, break my door down. So it's very heavy, and it's a lot to digest. And knowing that it is going to be a lot to digest, and giving yourself that time and space to think about what you will do. And maybe when it happens, it all gets thrown out the window anyways, because like you said, you are caught up in a moment and you react.
Well, hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, our political consultant and advisor out of Madison, Wisconsin. And always like to, and maybe the next segment, just get out your information too, so people can reach out that need some consulting, and also some speaking on what goes on in Native laws and all those things that you do. And we can be more specific in the next break. But that is the, I knew a person that worked at an organization that I was involved with, and she was exactly the thing that happened to her. They broke the window, they took her out, and they arrested her. And this person was white, and she was in there, and she had a lot to tell. The Capitol a couple days ago. She was telling them what they were saying about people, what they were doing, and the crying and the weeping that was happening when she was held captive. So that is a thing, and we need to protect ourselves and our soul. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that next segment, Arvina.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations, and Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org. Aho, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho-Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Then we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and I just want to give everyone a big heads up tomorrow. Native Roots Radio presents Minneapolis Air, and we're going to have Mayor Fry on for the whole show. And then right after that, Controlled Fire. Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire, and it's Thunder Wellness Center down in Arizona. They're putting on a show, a native show, and talking about all things good. And they're, when it comes to recovery and things like that. So stay tuned tomorrow. We've got 2 hours happening here in the Twin Cities, and then we're on Civic Media for the Mayor Fry interview. So stay tuned, Civic Media. So welcome back, Arvina Martin. And Arvina, before we get going here, I want you to explain what you do and talk a little bit about your other business, and people can reach out to you and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I consider myself a Jill of all trades in terms of the political world. I've worked, on the legislative side as well as the campaign side. I've been staff, I've been a volunteer, I've been a candidate as well as an elected. So I do a lot of trainings about running for office in particular. And I also have trainings that I do for organizations that want to, and especially political campaigns that want to reach out to folks in Indian country and how to do that appropriately and how to understand what the relationship that tribal governments have and Native people have with the United States government through our treaty rights. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Arvina Martin, and that would be the easiest way to get a hold of me. If you would like any information about those trainings, I'd be happy to talk to you there.
Perfect. Yes. And please do. And it's political season coming up, and it'll be great to know things. And I know education in when I was a kid really didn't talk about any of these things. So it's great to have you and be able to have you hired and come and talk to your group and talk to people. And I've heard you speak and put on things, and so I just have a big stamp of approval, and I'm glad that you're doing this for the community and for the 5-state area in the country.
Yeah, it's really important, especially that our elected officials understand what the relationship is, the government to government relationship, and that Native people are not just a racial group or a special interest group, that we as our sort of dual citizens, and that that we need to, that interacting with Native people and with tribes is different than reaching out to a community group or another, a religious group or a race-based group. And it's also important for Native people to be running for these positions because we need more people to understand this relationship, that are in office and can help put forth legislation that takes that into consideration, and that lifting the rising tide that lifts all boats needs to lift Native boats too. And having more Native people elected from every office, from city council and school boards all the way up to someday president of the United States. I know that Alaska congressional member Mary Peltola has announced her candidacy for Senate in Alaska, which is really exciting. So now we have 2 Native women who are running for U.S. Senate at the same time. Fingers crossed that they both get elected and can have the kind of relationship that Sharice Davids and Deb Haaland have had, and the putting a blanket out before the State of the Union address to save a spot for the 2 of them. And it's just a really, it's really exciting to have their names on the ballots, and we should all have the opportunity to vote for a Native person in our lives. and more than one, like it's the same thing as that famous quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg about the Supreme Court. When will there be enough women on there? And she said, when they're all women. It's been all men before. Why can't it be all women? Why can't the Supreme Court be all Native?
And too, as Ho Chunk, the women did run things at camp, and that wasn't just because that's the way it was. And men went out to hunt and do those things, but the women ran the camp. And when I think about that, that's the way it should be nationally here, and definitely statewide. Also, we have our friend, a good friend of ours, Rodney Rave, running in Wisconsin. Have you had any updates about Rodney?
I haven't. I need to reach out to him. But I know that he is out there. He hit the ground running. I know I happened to spot a Reddit post about him in the Wisconsin subreddit in the wild. And he had lots of really great reactions to his ideas. As well as just getting Derek Van Orden out of office, period. But people that were excited about his candidacy. And that's really exciting. And like I've told other friends who are not in Wisconsin, that if the Ho-Chunk Nation has 2 congressional members within our tribal population, you're not going to be able to tell us anything. We're going to just be so proud of our 2 Congress people.
Absolutely. And that I really like the way you put that there. So people in Wisconsin, look up Rodney Rave and give to his candidacy. And I know he wants to come on, so we have to figure out a day for us 3 to be on, Arvina.
Oh, absolutely. And as someone who has had the opportunity to speak with Rodney, I also agree that he's got some great policy ideas. He's the only person in the race that has served as a tribal legislator. So he does have experience in a legislative body. He's worked with the federal government as a legislator of a federally recognized tribe, the Ho-Chunk Nation. So his qualifications are different, and are very unique to him. And I think that that's an experience that we need to take a look at.
Yeah, and with Rodney, it was excellent because we do a lot of government to government work, and when we were legislators together, he was in Washington quite a bit. And he saw a need. He saw a need, and he saw that. Why don't I fill this need? So, power to Rodney. And again, we should get him on.
Yeah. Well, and I think that like I'm glad you brought that up, because there are so many talented Native people out there who have had that thought. I'm seeing how this is going, and I don't like it. I wish somebody would do something about it. And I am here to tell you, you can be that person. You can be that person who joins or runs for school board and makes sure that your school district is teaching proper history about Native people in your area. You can make sure that Native students are going to be allowed to wear eagle feathers or beaded graduation caps at their graduation ceremonies, and there are not going to be kicked out or otherwise having their things taken on graduation day. And there are opportunities for us as Native people to make giant impacts at every level of government across the country, and we just need brave people to put themselves out there, to put your names on the ballot. And as someone who's done it more than once, it is scary to put your name on a ballot, because you're opening yourself up to criticisms, some that are fair, many that are not fair. And we can do it. Let's get more Native people elected everywhere.
Again, Arvina Martin, how people can get a hold of you?
Find me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Arvina Martin there.
Right on. Thank you so much, Arvina. We'll be talking to you soon. This is Native Roots Radio. We're still here. We are the seventh generation. Remember, tomorrow, Minneapolis Air, Minneapolis American Indian Relations, Mayor Fry, and then right after that, Controlled Fire. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, wow.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots